My sister mocked me in front of 43 guests, toasted my failure at her engagement dinner. So I canceled the $10,000 wedding venue in my name. My name is Noah. I'm 31. I've never fit in with my family in the manner you'd expect a son or brother to. Don't get me wrong. Everything seems nice on paper. I have a decent job in IT. I own a condo where I reside, and I am polite, presentable, and dependable in the ways that matter. But in my household, dependable simply meant someone we could dump things on without saying thank you. It took me most of my adult life to discover that no one in my family notices me. I'm either the invisible fixer, the punchline, or the backup plan. Never the son people boast about. Never the brother they adore. Especially not for my sister, Noah. Noah is 28, and I swear she was born with the ability to make a room swirl around her. She's one of those people who can laugh so hard that everyone else wants to join in, even if nothing is funny. She's brilliant, gorgeous, confident, and just cunning enough to stay 3 steps ahead of everyone else while yet appearing to be the victim. Growing up, she had a talent for drama and used it as a weapon. I was always the scapegoat. If something went missing, I retrieved it. If she didn't pass a test, I distracted her. If she felt insecure, it was because I boasted too much about landing a part-time job while still in high school. I didn't brag. I simply mentioned it once at dinner. She cried. I was grounded. I had hoped that by the time we were adults, things would have settled down. I attempted to remain supportive despite years of animosity. When she dropped out of college after 2 semesters, I assisted her with her resume. When she wanted to move into a better apartment with her boyfriend, now fiancé, guess who co-signed the lease? And when she announced her engagement last year and stated that she wanted a family-centered wedding, I volunteered to assist in any way I could. Because this is what I do. I will assist. Even if I do not receive a thank you. Even if I am teased behind my back for still driving a 10-year-old vehicle. Even if I wasn't wanted at the table, I expected to set it. Her engagement meal was hosted at one of those fashionable restaurants with dark lighting and imitation exposed brick that appears to be both rustic and sophisticated. I'd helped her acquire the wedding site, a ludicrous lakefront property that required a $10,000 non-refundable deposit. She asked me to put it in my name because she didn't have the credit, pledging to repay me within a month. That happened 6 weeks ago. Not a cent had arrived. I kept telling myself that she will get around to it. That perhaps, just maybe, this supper will be a fresh start for us. Perhaps she'd thank me in front of everyone. Instead, I was completely caught off guard. We were halfway through dinner. Noah stepped up, glass of champagne in hand, after the servers had just served the main course, a pricey chicken dish with an unpronounceable name. She smiled first at her fiancé, then at our parents, and finally around the room. Everyone leaned in, expecting to hear something meaningful. I leaned in, hoping. To my fiancé, she exclaimed, her voice sparkling and sparkly. You are the best decision I ever made. But tonight, I want to thank someone who showed me exactly what not to do. Someone who reminds me every day what settling looks like. She looked me dead in the eyes and grinned. Let's all raise a glass to my big brother, Cowan. Thanks for being the blueprint of what not to become. For a single second I assumed she was joking. Some sort of awkward, twisted inner joke. But then the room burst into laughing. Our uncle applauded. Our mother chuckled behind her wine glass. Even our father had a grin and mumbled something like, well, she's not wrong. And with that, I was frozen. I didn't say anything. I did not even blink. My hands remained on my lap as everyone toasted around me as if I wasn't even present. I drew the attention of my cousin Lena, one of the few family members who had always been polite to me. She offered me a tight-lipped, sympathetic grin but did not say anything else. I drank my water, pushed back my chair, and explained that I wasn't feeling well. Nobody stopped me. Nobody even inquired whether I was okay. I departed before the dessert was served. The drive home was silent. Not emotionally silent. No, my mind was filled with memories, insults and echoing laughter. But physically, all I heard was the hum of the tires and the odd blinker as I turned again, and pulled into my parking garage. That night, I stared up at the ceiling. I considered how many times I had forgiven her. How many times had I promised myself that this time would be different. Perhaps if I kept showing up, supporting her, and enduring the rudeness, she would notice me. She would appreciate me. But now I realized she didn't need to shout. She did not respect me. She could accomplish it with a smirk and a toast. That's when I recalled my deposit. The $10,000 venue deposit is still in my name and recorded in my bank's pending transaction history. I opened my laptop, signed in, and read the cancellation policy twice. Then I choose cancel. There's no warning. There was no reimbursement to her card because it did not exist. It was all me. I slumped back in my chair. My heart was not racing. It was no longer angry. It simply felt serene. The first SMS arrived at 7:30 the next morning. Then another. Then a phone call. Then 3 missed ones. Then there's a voicemail from Noah, yelling about a mix-up. How could this happen? And, do you even know what you've done? I knew exactly what I had done. And I wasn't even close to done. I let the phone vibrate itself to quiet. I didn't respond. Not yet. I made myself a cup of coffee, watered the plants on my balcony, and sat down to eat breakfast for the first time in what seemed like forever. Something about not being someone's doormat made meals taste better. But my peace did not last long. By 10 a.m., my mother had called. When I did not respond, she texted, Noah, please pick up. Your sister is in tears. What you did was cruel. So unnecessary. Why did you do this? Are you okay? Just the notion that I had done something incorrectly. I deleted the message. A few minutes later, another text arrived. This one is from Noah herself. Actually, multiple messages are stacked in a row. Imagine a tantrum being live tweeted in real time. Noah, what is wrong with you? Noah, you've ruined everything. Noah, you knew we needed that venue. I informed everyone about it. Noah, you should repair this today. Noah, I can't believe you'd sabotage your own sister simply because you can't bear to see me happy. There it was. The storyline shifted. I was not the target of a public insult. I was the jealous saboteur now. Noah's style is classic. That afternoon, my cousin Lena called. I did indeed pick it up. She sounded nervous. Hey. Just checking in. That toast last night. Yeah, it wasn't cool. I wanted to say something, You didn't, I said. Nor cruel, nor sharp. Just the truth. I know. I'm sorry. I felt like if I did, it would have turned into a whole thing. And it should have turned into something, I said. Maybe if someone stood up to her once in her life, we wouldn't be here. She was silent for a moment. The next step was, is it true? You canceled the venue? Yep. Wow, she remarked in a tone I couldn't understand. Half awe, half worry. She's losing her mind right now. Screaming at your parents. Blaming everyone. Her fiancé left their place this morning and hasn't come back. I did not respond to that. You know they were counting on that venue for the engagement photos, right? She said. They booked a whole photo shoot around it this weekend. Then I hope they brought a tripod, I added, drinking my coffee. There was another prolonged silence. Then Lena dropped her voice and whispered. I know I didn't say anything last night, but I see you, Ken. I really do. I did not say anything for a time. Then, thanks. When I hung up, the silence that ensued was not empty. It was filled. Full of everything I'd been holding in for years. I remembered Noah getting caught sneaking out of high school and blaming it on me for giving her the notion. I remembered our family trip, when she dropped her phone in the ocean and my parents forced me to pay to replace it. I remembered how, when I moved into my first apartment, she stated it smelled like failure, then invited her friends over without asking and wrecked the place. I continued donating. But not anymore. The next escalation occurred that evening. This time, it was Dad. He rarely got involved unless there was money on the line, so I knew what his call was about before I answered. Noah, he said with a guarded tone. This thing with the venue. What's going on? Ask Noah. She says you just canceled it out of spite. Did she tell you what she said about me at her toast? He paused. Afterward. Of course. She was joking. You're too sensitive. There it was. The family refrained. The gaslight gospel. You think it's a joke to tell a room full of people that your brother is a cautionary tale? I inquired, my tone as calm as a lake before a storm. She didn't mean it that way. But she did mean for me to put $10,000 on the line without a contract. And she did mean to use me as a punchline. So no, Dad, I don't think I'm going to fix it. He said, she's your sister. As if the term meant more than it did. She's a grown woman, I said. And I'm not her safety net anymore. He exhaled deeply, as if I were the one draining him. You'll regret this, Ken. Families stick together. Funny, I said. Mine never did. I hung up. That night, I received an email from the venue confirming the cancellation and reimbursement process. It was refunded to my account because it was my deposit. Seeing that confirmation didn't make me happy. It did not make me complacent. It simply made me feel clear. For the first time in years, I began to wonder whether this was the end of it. Maybe they'd leave me alone and work things out on their own. It was 9:43 p.m. when I received the knock at my door. I opened the door and there she was. Real. No makeup. Hair pulled back. Eyes are red and swollen. But she still had that small smirk, as if she knew she was going to win. "Can I come in?" she inquired. I didn't respond. She stepped forward nonetheless. What she said next made my stomach turn. "Noah, I need you to give me the money back. I already told people the wedding's still happening at the lakefront venue. We can rebook it. You don't have to be petty." I blinked. Petty? Petty. That's when I understood she didn't come to apologize. She still didn't comprehend. She came to collect. And I was no longer hers to collect from. But before I could say anything or take a breath to answer, she made another error. She looked around my place, wrinkled her nose and said, "You really haven't redecorated since college, huh?" I smiled. I carefully and deliberately reached for the doorknob. "Noah," she replied, her gaze widening. "Don't do this." I opened the door. But before I could close it, I said 6 words that I had been waiting my entire life to say. "You taught me exactly what to be." And then I closed the door in her face. I stood there for a time, my hand still resting on the doorknob, peering at the wood grain as if it contained answers. I almost expected her to pound on the door again, yell, cry, and negotiate. However, she didn't. Instead, I heard the crisp click of her heels against the hallway tile, followed by the faint echo of her footfall as she walked away. Or so I thought. About 10 minutes later, my phone lit up again. First, my mother texted me, then my father, and finally a number I didn't recognize. "Jordan, Noah's fiancé, has called from an unknown number. We need to talk." I stared at the message for a moment. Jordan and I had only communicated once or twice since our engagement. Both occasions were superficial. He always appeared to be in good health, not a horrible person, but not someone who thought for himself. Noah had him wrapped around her finger. I used to think so. More out of curiosity than anything else, I responded. "About what?" He responded nearly immediately. "What exactly happened at the venue? She said anything about you last night?" I did not laugh. "I just wanted you to know that." That last line touched me differently. I replied, "You're engaged to her." "Why are you texting me?" He said, "Because I believe I am about to make the biggest mistake of my life." I didn't respond. Not because I didn't have anything to say, but because I wasn't sure where this was headed. And I wasn't ready to become someone else's therapist simply because my sister couldn't keep her ego under control. By the next morning, however, it was evident that Noah had escalated the situation. She shared a long, excessively tinted photo of herself and Jordan on Instagram, with a caption so sweet it might have been coated in syrup. "Can't let jealousy steal our joy. Some people try to tear others down just because they're miserable. But real love rises above." The comments were predictable. Her friend said, "Ugh, haters gonna hate, and you're glowing. And ignore the negativity, babe, you're amazing." I did not make a comment. I did not even open the post directly. I just viewed the preview, which someone else emailed to me, of course. Her message read, "She's spinning the whole story. I'm sorry. This is getting gross." Yes, it was. Because the story was being revised in real time. I wasn't just the brother who canceled the deposit. I was the spiteful villain out to ruin his baby sister's happiness. The truth is, she knew I would not defend myself online. She knew I wasn't the sort to spread the truth on social media. That was not my style. But perhaps that is why she believed she could get away with it. She made a mistake there. Because she didn't comprehend, and no one else did, that I had something she was unaware of. Something I'd kept out of habit, not expecting to ever use it. When I helped her secure the venue, she was too lethargic to complete the vendor paperwork. So, I did it. And when they asked for the event's key contact, I put myself, because I was the one who paid, was in charge of correspondence, and received every email, document, and signed agreement right to my inbox. Include the contract PDF, and Noah's signed acknowledgement. It was not legally binding. It was not a loan or anything. However, she signed a paper agreeing to be responsible for the reimbursement of all booking-related expenditures. What's the kicker? The contract included a clause that explicitly stated that any willful misrepresentation of the event by the client that causes public disparagement or reputational harm to the venue or its representatives could result in not only cancellation, but also a blacklist from all affiliated event spaces under that management company. Translation. She may kiss her entire backup list goodbye. So, no. I did not intend to go public. But I didn't have to be quiet either. First, I forwarded Jordan the original signed agreement. I did not add any remark, only the document. Several hours later he responded. He proceeded. So she lied to me, said you never paid, said you made it all up to embarrass her. I'm starting to realize I don't actually know who I'm marrying. I just said, then it's time you decide who you are without her. The second thing I did was much more subtle. I made a stealth phone call to the venue coordinator Jill, who had been very nice during our brief conversation. I said that I had canceled the reservation, but that I was concerned that my sister would try to rebook under a different name, using one of her friends or family as the applicant. Jill let out a breath and responded. That wouldn't be the first time someone's tried that. But thank you for the heads up. We'll flag the name and the event type. We've got eyes. Finally, the third item I waited for. Because the next explosion was not mine to start. I knew what was coming. 3 days later, it landed. A voicemail from my mother, frantic and confused. Noah, what did you do? Noah is losing it. She says the venue blacklisted her. She can't get anyone to book her now. What happened? You need to call me. This has gone too far. I did not call. They felt humiliated since no one called when it was me. Nobody had stood up when I was the punchline. Nobody had cared as I was sitting at the table, watching everyone laugh at me as if I were a prop in my sister's comedy routine. So no, I was not interested in damage control. And I was absolutely not done. Because there was still one more card to play. Noah was completely unprepared for what happened. The thing that would make everyone, including her, look at me differently. And it was already in action. They just didn't realize it yet. I waited not out of spite, but for strategic reasons. See, there is a distinction between vengeance and pettiness. Pettiness is impulsive. It reacts. However, real revenge is quiet. Patient. It waits for the right moment to land. Not when people anticipate it, but when they really need you. That's when it hits hardest. Noah was about to learn his lesson in full stereo sound. I didn't answer any of their calls. Not Mom, not Dad, and certainly not Noah, who was by this point leaving voice messages ranging from sorrowful to venomous depending on how desperate she felt. 1 minute it was, Noah, I'm sorry, okay? I didn't mean it like that. Let's just move on.